And this one we have like, how many minutes?
You can go like 5 minutes if you want.
We'll just see how, it'll be like, a voyage of discovery. We'll see what happens. You ready to start?
Hey Tom, did you see the article in the Times recently about the effects of going to church, and I suppose the effects of going to synagogue or a mosque as well?
I did. I saw that article. It was interesting that they said that statistically, people who go to church have better life expectancies, lower blood pressure, healthier lives.
So you live longer, you live better. This is fabulous news for the church.
What you'd think they'd be knocking down the doors, Howard.
So what's the problem?
The problem is that apparently the data is not really that solid. And the other problem is, and this showed up in some of the letters that were submitted to the Times, is that people who go to church, in a sense, it's a self-selecting group. That people who may be healthier to begin with are the ones who go to church, rather than taking a broad range of all of society and taking a look at it that way.
And they didn't also study people who meditate and people who do other kinds of spiritual practices.
That's right. I mean, it was strictly about going to church. It was not. It didn't bring into, in any sense, the people who would describe themselves as I'm spiritual but not religious.
So if it doesn't lower your blood pressure and you don't live longer and you don't necessarily live healthier, what's the purpose of going to church or synagogue?
Well, it seems to me that ultimately the purpose is to have a connection to the sacred, to be with a community where you can support others who are seeking to find deeper meaning in their lives, and where through your community.
I could get that by going to hear Rachmaninoff.
You could, but you're not as participatory. One of the things is about in church and synagogue, you're involved in the prayers, you're involved in working and being with other people. So it seems to me that there's more to it than hearing Rachmaninoff, as wonderful as that is.
But there's a lot of baggage in going to church.
Yep.
Some of that baggage, the good and the bad, the challenging, the uncomfortable, some of all of that in religion is what we teach at FAU. Our course is really a conversation between Tom and me, or between Tom and I.
No, between Tom and me.
Okay, between Tom and me. It's really a conversation about what are the challenging things that religion bring into our society, and how can we become better people by learning about them.
Right, and the nice thing about our dialogues is that, and the feedback we get from people, is that they like to hear us in our conversation, feel like they're part of a conversation that people who are informed and candid and respectful can have about difficult issues of religion, like why is there always anti-Semitism, and will it always be with us?
And is the New Testament a source for the people for anti-Semitism?
And of course the answer to that is yes, and it's one of the things that we struggle with as Christians, and that you and I have discussed and will discuss further in our courses.
And we also talk about things like, is there an afterlife? And if there is an afterlife, not that Tom and I can really tell you there is or there isn't an afterlife, but we can tell you what religious traditions across the board have thought about the subject, and how it impacts both of us.
Sure. We talk about issues like what does it mean to be a good person? How does religion perhaps help us understand what it means to be an ethical person? How do Christianity and Judaism differ in their understanding of what it means to be good? Those are important conversations, and sometimes the differences that we find between Christianity and Judaism are very real and things that we have to struggle with.
We also ask the question about, is the Bible true?
Yes, and what does truth mean when you're talking about the Bible? Is it true literally? Is it true on some myth level? How are we to understand the stories?
Is it symbolically true? Is it allegorically true? You're right, Tom. How do we understand
That's right.
stories?
It's a very central question that in a sense, some Christians and Jews are closer on that topic than on others, and some Christians are at a greater divide from other Christians regarding that topic.
Right.
So
So we have a good time in teaching the course together, and we would love you to come and join us and have a good time with us. It's the kind of good time that makes you, when you leave the classroom, when you leave the auditorium, hopefully you are still thinking about the things that we have started the conversation on.
one of the things that many of our students tell us is that this becomes a topic of conversation at lunch, at dinner with other friends, and that for teachers like ourselves, that's the greatest praise, is to hear that what we've raised continues to be something that our students think about and discuss afterwards.
So we're teaching again in the winter?
We're teaching in the winter term, be on Thursday mornings at 9 o'clock to 10:45, and hopefully we'll see many of you there.
Thank you for listening.